Spot Commander White at the edge of the room, but you don't pay him much notice. Take a while before you feel ready to stand. You okay? Yeah, I just needed a moment. Anyways, the will reading brought us a few more hours to investigate the murder. We should take advantage of the new information we just learned. So, where should we start first? Right, you are the prosecutor now. I'm gonna technically make you his boss for the time being. Yeah, we can tell Orm what to do. Orm, please go get me a coffee. Orm, please go get me a donut. This is weird, right? Yep. Awkwardness aside, I've never really led a task force before. What would Steel would normally do in this situation? Well, normally have us investigate areas of interest. Right. The context of the investigation tends to change after each round of court proceedings. Well, we're lacking a lot of physical evidence. Could you and the Inquisition search the gallery in Beatrice's room? Perhaps you can find evidence of how the sword of spell eating was stolen. Whatever you say, boss. It covers the Inquisition. What are we going to do? It's clear that Lord Frega's inheritance plays a large role in this case. Even if it's not valid, we should take a look at the modified will that he was drafting. Might give us some insight about what he was really planning to do with his inheritance. Alright, so we need to go to his study, right? Come on, that's it. As you enter William Frega's study, spot a figure rummaging through the drawers in his desk. I said it here. Where else would he put it? Miriam? What? As soon as she notices you, Miriam quickly closes the drawer and walks towards you. You already saw what she was doing. She was definitely looking for something. It's taking a lot to call him boss. No, I mean, that's why he did, like, quotation marks. Boss. And, like, Orm doesn't really... I don't know. Actually, I can't really tell if Orm likes Tyrion or not. Like, their first meeting was like, yeah, no, I don't like you at all. But Tyrion has shown time and time again that he's not like Tymora. He's very clearly a man of truth. And hopefully justice. So... maybe it did take a lot for him to even do the fake quotation marks boss. It's a crime scene. What are you doing here, Miriam? As if that's any of your business. Okay. Considering that I'm the prosecutor, it's very much my business. Give a side glance to the knights stationed outside the room. They should have stopped her from entering. Perhaps she used her status to intimidate them into letting her through. However, this could be a blessing in disguise. She was clearly looking for something in this room, and you have a feeling you know what it is. You're to be looking for something, Miriam. It'd be so important that you disturb an active crime scene. It's none of your business. I'm really trying to find something that belongs to me. Really? Because I have a feeling that we might be looking for the same thing. You're looking for the will that your father was drafting, aren't you? That's... trying to destroy it before we could get to it. No, of course not. I just need to see it for myself. Did she really do this? No. She also suspicious of Beatrice. Modified will. Why were you so determined to see... Why were you so determined to see the drafted will, Miss Frege? Just wanted to see what my father's final wishes were. Father already had a will filed previously. Wouldn't that be enough? You also suspect something, don't you? Of course not. Beatrice would never do something like this. Miss Frege, I never even mentioned Beatrice. I know how things may look, but please understand, I'm just trying to get to the truth. I don't think your sister did this, but she may have been involved. She may have worked with someone else to orchestrate her father's death. And like Leif, she didn't immediately deny it. That means she already had her own suspicions. Where's the will? Where's the will, Miriam? I need to see it. I don't know. Haven't been able to find it. I thought that she was frantically searching William's desk earlier. She's probably telling the truth. It should have been here, but I can't find it. He locked the door when he began drafting it. In addition to that, the Inquisition closed the area off after the body was discovered. That means that someone took it during the lockdown. Probably stolen by whoever murdered him, right? Yeah, that would make the most sense. That whoever did this wanted to nullify whatever was written on it. It's looking more and more like the motive behind this was William's inheritance. Anyways, looks like we won't be able to find the will. But the fact that it was taken must imply something. For now, you should follow our other leads. It's also the question of who committed the murder, and how. Don't we really know the how? Murderer stole the sword of spell eating and used it to break into the study. That's true, but think about what they would have needed. Think about what they would have needed to move around the manor. Yeah, I was about to bring up the map. The murder took place on the first floor within William Frega's study. But the gallery was on the second floor. They would have needed to go upstairs, steal the sword from the gallery, and then use it to nullify the lock on the study. Not only that, they would have needed to go back upstairs and plant the sword in Beatrice's room. About that, someone conspired with Beatrice to do this. Why would they plant the sword in her room? Good point. Perhaps they had a falling out. Her partner might have tried to betray her by pinning the blame on her. If that were true, wouldn't she just sell them out and make a deal with Steelwind? Maybe because of the Slayer rule. Maybe the guy reading also mentioned that. What is it? The law passed by the Crown centuries ago. According to the law, if someone is involved in another person's death, even accidentally, they will not be allowed to inherit the deceased's property. Even if Beatrice wasn't directly responsible, she'd lose her cut of the inheritance if she took a plea deal. More importantly, it doesn't sound like Miriam completely believes in Beatrice's innocence either. If that's true, what else can she tell you? Miriam, it almost sounds like you suspect Beatrice as well. Am I incorrect? I don't know what to think anymore. Why else would she threaten me? Wait, she was threatened? Miriam, Beatrice threatened you in some way. What? Of course not. Testimony yesterday was quite convenient for the defense. It almost got the whole case thrown out. And Leif didn't seem to understand what was going on either. The way she gave her testimony yesterday, it was almost like she was covering for you. I seriously not know. Please, promise me you won't tell anyone about this. I won't tell anyone. What happened? An hour after the murder, I was approached by Ruby Tymora. Give me a list of statements to give in my testimony. We are preparing witnesses now. Okay, Tymora. The statements weren't true. She assured me that my status would protect me from any scrutiny. What? She had information that I had tried to keep kept secret, and she threatened to make it public unless I cooperated with her. No. No, she would never do that. I'm telling the truth. Please, you can't tell Tymora that I told you. She'll ruin me. That shows that her fear is genuine, not lying. Yeah. I've seen that woman do all kinds of shady shit in the cases I've worked. Forgery, bribery, blackmail, you name it. Bet you're just the same. A successor for the devil of defense attorneys. Rumors can't be true. Used to believe it. Hey, Tyrion, are you okay? Not the time to doubt yourself. There's too much at stake right now. You have a job to do. You should check on Commander White. He might have found something. Okay. Don't push yourself. Okay? Yeah. Have plenty of time to think about this later. Woo! Ooh. Wonder how this is. I'm curious how this episode will end. Enter Beatrice's bedroom. See the Inquisition combing through it. Looks like the search is focused under her bed. Oh, hey kid. Commander. Still doing a deep search of the room. We're not done yet. Should probably come back later. Okay. Move around the manor. You peek into the sitting room to see if Von Sanctus is still there. Whoa! Who the hell is this guy? You don't see him there, but you spot another individual. A cool-ass axe. Wink? He's calmly reading some sort of book, but you feel a menacing aura emanating from him. Go to... I forget the JoJo's sound effects, but I imagine that's coming off of him. Nobleman. Here. It's aura. It'd be daft if you didn't think I would notice your presence. What? Did he notice you? You barely entered the room. Before you have a chance to respond, the man pulls out his great axe and rushes towards you. Ooh, wait, You bring up your arms to block his blow, but as hindsight, that probably won't do much against an axe that large. Ortegas. Open your eyes. Celeste is now standing between you and the axe-wielding maniac. Not sure what happened, but it looks like she knocked him several feet backwards. Oh, it's you two. The hell was that? You could have killed him. Shouldn't have snuck up on me like that. Almost cleaved him in two. Tyrion didn't do anything wrong. The hell do you think you are? I am Lord Lucio Steelwind, Grand General of the Wyvern Guard military. This is Arya's dad. Yeah, he seems like a brute. If his first instinct is to kill a man for just walking up. It's badass, though. So this is Prosecutor Steelwind's father. They do share the same intimidating stare. Although, he's not the most menacing person in the room right now. Celeste, it's fine. I'm not hurt. Yeah, but she wasn't here, you'd be dead. So, she looks more than irate right now, but she begrudgingly sheathes her sword. Anyways, Lord Steel was one of the people with a motive to murder William Frege. As a fellow head of a pillar house, he might have some information about William and his affairs. Tyrion and Celeste, she is livid. If looks could kill. Coy, one might misinterpret that look of yours as murderous intent. Aw, guess you do have some battle instincts, after all. I honestly wasn't sure, since you so obviously have a silver spoon stuck up your... Celeste. Such a lack of respect and discipline. If you're one of my soldiers, I'd have you hanged. If I was one of your soldiers, I'd hang... That's fucking Ruby. It reminds me of the fucking General Ironwood. And Crow. When they go up into Ozpin's tower, and Ironwood is standing there, and he points at Crow, and he's like, if you were one of my men, I would have you shot. And Crow's like, if I was one of my men, I'd shoot myself, and he takes a swing. Okay, let's try to stay civil here. Lord Steelwind, you were here at the Lord's Ball. The murder occurred. Alright? Or am I correct? I was. Mind if I ask you some questions about what you saw that night? If that's okay with you. I suppose I must oblige, considering that my daughter so unceremoniously thrust her responsibilities onto you. Sorry about what happened to your daughter. I know that you're very worried. It's her own fault for exerting herself, despite her injuries. Ah! Yeah, he does care about his daughter. There you go. I can see that fear and sadness. Even the bravest warrior knows when to stay off the battlefield. How can you say that? Your daughter was trying to do the right thing by prosecuting the heiress of House Frege. She had very little evidence to substantiate a conviction. If she wanted to strike a blow on a rival house, she should have been certain that her enemy would fall. But now, Beatrice Frege is found innocent, any hopes of an alliance between House Frege and House Steelwind will be completely annihilated. It's clear that he and the prosecutor have vastly different priorities. Night of the murder. Where were you throughout the night, Lord Steelwind? I so loathe gatherings like that. They're a complete waste of time. Also, just notice he's 76. Fucking jacked. I was in this room. Then I received word that Lord Frege Lost Hairs had made an unexpected appearance. She was supposedly speaking with the Crown Prince, so I made my way to the ballroom. Did you speak with him at any point? No. I kept my distance, and stayed near the King's Guard. Need to make sure she wouldn't try anything. This is because you were wary of Beatrice Frege. Yes, I was. Crown Prince has always been a bleeding heart, and the Fregas are trained to sharpen their tongue from birth. I needed to make sure that she wouldn't try to interfere with his engagement. Worried that she was going to try to take Aster back. I was. But it was clear that wasn't her intention. We did overhear their conversation. What were they talking about? The conversation was completely inane. It was all just small talk. Lady Frege spent most of her time playing with Prince Alaric. Right, Aster's younger brother was there too. Just his alibi. I wish I looked like him. I'm half his age. We can do it. If both of us lock in and get a training regiment, we too can look like Lord Lucio Steelwind. Although, like, I don't know. I don't think I want to look as jacked as that. See, if you see this avatar right here, see this model. This is peak body IMO. She wasn't directly responsible. She'd have some unknown goal by speaking with Aster and his brother. You went to the ballroom when you heard that Beatrice had returned. Was this before or after the lockdown? It was before the lockdown. Sounds about right. This means that she was accounted for before the theft was reported. And did you see her leave at any point? No. She spoke with the two princes for quite a while. She didn't leave their side until she was arrested for Lord Frege's murder. What? I mean, she was accounted for the entire night. But her thoughts said she was the accomplice in William's death. Was she there to distract the King's Guard? Thank you for answering our questions, Lord Steelwind. I'm merely repaying my daughter's debt to you. He was surprisingly pretty cooperative. That doesn't lift any suspicion off him just yet. Certainly, I primarily want to lose my gun. Yeah. See him. That's the main. That's always like the main thing. You'll need more evidence if you want to know for sure. Anyways, we should probably move somewhere else. Let's go, Celeste. Koi. What? Spellcasting is undisciplined. Your battle stance and reflexes are commendable. You have my respect as a warrior. As if that means anything coming from you. Damn. What an undisciplined and defiant brat. Alright, you should be done with your investigation. Keep it in that corner. Don't let it get away. Get away from him. You enter Beatrice's room. You see the Inquisition cornering something near the back of the room. Some sort of animal. A wolf, to be exact. Wait, that? Recall spotting that same wolf on the night of the Lord's Ball. You've been in the house since the murder? Intruders must protect. Oh, we can. It works on animals. Huh. What? Just read his thoughts? Like territory from enemies. I see the Inquisition and intruders in his territory. Does that mean he sees his room as his home? You slowly start to walk towards him. Wait, Tyrion. Stay back, kid. It's a wild animal. There's no telling what it'll do. You ignore them and continue to approach him. Don't worry. I'm not here to hurt you. Human. Speak language of we can speak to animals. Holy shit. Wait. Understand me? Why are you talking to it? Speaking plain dog. Of course, Chacker understand. What's going on here? Did I have Horse allowing you to speak with him? Never really tried it before. But perhaps your powers aren't limited to humans. Anyways, this would be a good opportunity. I wonder what else he knows. Yeah, man. We're talking to dogs now. Tracker, is that your name? We'll get We'll get dog with his tongue out. How did you... Yes. Tracker is Tracker. That's the name Queen give to me. Occupation, dog. Thank you. Tracker just to Leif when he motions it's Queen. Called you his Queen. You know him, Leif. Yes, but how are you talking to it? That's... So caught up in speaking to Tracker, you didn't realize how strange this scene must look to everyone else. I'm a dog whisperer. You could have just said, you know, I'm like good with animals, you know. I just intuit it, you know. You could have just said that. Never mentioned that before. You honestly expect us to believe something like that? Tracker says he can understand him. He told me himself. Oh, this is your familiar. So you can speak to him telepathically. Wait, how do you know that? Liv, how are you able to communicate with Tracker? Well, there's no sense in hiding it anymore. Tracker is my familiar. Familiar? The magical bond Harold has with his monkey. Recall the familiar bond spell allows the caster to telepathically speak with her familiar. That must be how she's speaking to him. We mentioned him during questioning. It wasn't relevant to the investigation. I've been keeping a secret from my family. Doesn't make sense. That William Frank would have allowed you to keep an animal in his house. Well, I don't appreciate you keeping this info from us. But it doesn't look like anyone got hurt. Aside from this dog, we haven't really found anything new. Damn it, they didn't find any more physical evidence of the theft. Let's see if you run into another dead end. Less. Yeah, talking to dogs. So, Tracker, what were you doing on the night of the murder? But what? Tracker? Rut. Is he not supposed to be inside? Is that the deal? He's supposed to stay in his room. Wait, is that why you won't allow the servants to enter it? I didn't want to keep in Beach's room, but he was very insistent that he stay here. Tracker likes the ambience. Right. Wait, you live in this room. Did you see who brought the sword of spell eating here? I already asked him about that, but he didn't see anyone. Must have been taking a nap. Either that or he's roaming outside even though I told him to stay here. This is... I'm glad the Clown Shoes music is on, because this is some Clown Shoes. Damn it. Tracker see a lot of other things, though. Tracker see many new people that night. Right, he was roaming the manor during the Lord's Ball. I've seen a lot of new people. Wait, he was walking around. He might have seen something that the Inquisition doesn't know about. It's like I was wondering how the hell, like, we keep running into walls. So, this is our breakthrough. Can you tell us what you saw on the night of the murder, Tracker? Tracker see rats. Thanks. Maybe more difficult than you thought. You need to be more specific. Can you go in order? Tell me about everyone that you saw that night. Okay. Tracker was taking a nap in room, but Tracker woke up from loud sounds outside. Tracker hears small things running in the walls. Yeah, rats. Tracker called Queen, but she didn't answer, so Tracker decided to check sound alone. Tracker followed sound outside, when Tracker smelled the bad smell. Bad smell? That's when Tracker smelled flying rat. Smell the flying... Like a pigeon? Tracker could smell where rat was, so Tracker borked at him. Tracker must have scared rat because he fell onto the floor and dropped his stick? A stick? Tracker could see them now, so Tracker did one final bork to scare them off. Rats were scared and went back into the walls. That's when Tracker picked up the stick. Rat dropped. Queen finally answered Tracker and she told him to go back to his room and hide. After a message, Tracker brings stick back to room for inspection. Remember what time this encounter happened? What is time? Yeah, this fucking dog. Hey Tyrion. thing. Maybe he saw something. Okay, let's try to take a moment to work through this. Tracker is an animal, and despite being able to speak with him, his use of words is very primitive. You should carefully examine each of his statements. The first thing he heard was small things running in the walls. What did Tracker hear when he woke up? Or did someone else observe something similar that night? Tracker heard rats running the vents. Servants were complaining about rats running through the air vents, so they sent me to take care of it. Yep. With them running in the vents upstairs, and I followed it here. I didn't know where else to go, so I opened it up and put a trap down. They weren't actually running in the walls, they're running in the vents. It was called the Queen, but she didn't answer. Why didn't Leif answer Tracker's message? Queen that he's referring to was probably Leif, but Leif wasn't with him at the time. He must have called out to her telepathically. Leif... Oh, no. Yeah, the Amelia borrowed was nullified by the anti-magic field. Leif didn't respond because she never got Tracker's message. Telepathic capabilities granted by Familiar Bond were disabled by the anti-magic field, which means that this encounter happened during the lockdown. That covers his first two statements, but you're not really sure what to make of the flying rat he saw. Tracker, why do you refer to the rat as flying? Because rats don't usually jump and fly. Yes, I got that. I suppose what you saw wasn't really a rat? Rats are rats. They're small things that run and hide. So rat is a general term for him. Use it to refer to small animals that are acting suspiciously. Anyways, with everything you know now, his last statement doesn't make sense. How did Tracker finally hear Leif? The Queen finally answered him, and this happened after he picked up the stick. That shouldn't have been possible due to the anti-magic field. Oh shit, is the stick... He thinks the stick is the sword of spell eating. The stick the Tracker obtained was actually the sword of spell eating. Tracker, about that stick you found. Where did you put it after you came back to this room? Tracker hid stick in safe place. Under the bed. And this stick did look like the sword that my friend is carrying. What? Hey, your friend stole my other stick. Wait, your other stick? Yeah, Tracker found it while he was hiding from the metal men. Right to the Kingsguard. They left the bedroom when they were searching for the sword of spell eating. Wait, are you the one who stole Celeste's sword? Tracker. Did Tracker do a bad? It's as I suspected. Tracker was the one that brought the sword of spell eating here. What? No idea how or why, but the sword of spell eating was lying in a hallway somewhere. Tracker found it and brought it back to Beatrice's room. His room. Can't be. The person who framed Beatrice for the theft was his fucking dog. If it weren't for Tracker, the Inquisition would have never honed in on Beatrice at all. Why would the sword of spell eating be lying in a random hallway? Leif, do you mind if I borrow Tracker for a little bit? Okay, Queen. He smelled good. Tracker trust him. Thanks, I guess? Okay, but only if you allow me to accompany you. Alright. I mean, how does Leif feel about you prosecuting Beatrice? It's possible she might try to sabotage the investigation if you let her accompany. I mean, in terms of personal interest, she's fine. If Beatrice gets convicted or not. Due to the will. Tracker's owner, you don't really have a choice. You know the Leif, but you also send a subtle gesture to Celeste to keep an eye on her. Silently nods and slowly follows behind her. Alright, Tracker. Can you take us to the hallway where you found these rats? Sure thing, King! You received a promotion. Alright, buddy. Allow Tracker to lead you to the location where you found the sword of spell eating. Surprisingly, it's fairly close to Beatrice's room. Apparently you didn't travel very far before you met those rats he mentioned. Oh. Toward your destination, tracker suddenly becomes extremely tense. Wrong. Enemy? Well, I mean, Eris's music is playing, so... Ah, and there she is. The dog doesn't like her. Celeste doesn't like her. All of the wrong noise. All of it. Even a chance to react, Tracker steps between you and Eris and begins angrily barking at her. Oh dear. Stop that. Tries to calm Tracker down, but he's undeterred. He needs to bark at Eris. It looks like it's taking all of Leif's strength to hold him back. I'm terribly sorry, he's not usually like this. It's to be expected. Not sure why, but animals have always been able to see me for who I really am. I read that before you fucked with it again. Not sure why, but animals have always disliked me. Dot. What is Eris doing here? I was seeing at the barracks too. Her father was friends with Beatrice, but is she involved in this case somehow? Anyways, you came here for a purpose. You should examine this hallway and see if you can find any clues. She's gonna mess with us. What are you doing here, Eris? She's asking you the same thing. I recall you telling me that you were a defense attorney. Here you are, prosecuting a defendant. You're even leading the Inquisition that you supposedly hate so much. To answer your question, I'm here on behalf of Beatrice. My sister? Yes. Tomorrow the company is occupied handling other aspects of the case. She sent me here to investigate on her behalf. What? I have to trust you a lot to let you handle something so important. How do you two even know each other? She was acquainted with your father, but... we met during her days at the Imperial Academy. We both studied illusion magic together. I've always been a patron of hers. It saddens me to see her in this dreadful situation. Alright. Well... This crystal is supposed to generate anti-magic field during the lockdown. However, the sort of spell eating would make its wielder immune to these fields. Never been over here. It appears to go from the ceiling to the ground floor. Is this where that rat escaped to, Tracker? That's where the jumping rat went. He said it was a flying rat. Tracker see that too. Okay. Probably be better just to move on. Anyways, where does the rat come from? Rat come out of the other wall. Vent on the opposite side. Yes. Tracker saw a flying rat escape that way. What was this rat doing here in the first place?
Arcanum.
Magic. What? What do you see? Vents have traces of illusion magic inside them. What? Traces also go deep inside these vents. The same for the vents on the other side too. How would there be traces of illusion magic inside the vents? This spell could have possibly left those traces. Many months ago, illusion spells tend to do one of two things. They either create freestanding illusions, or they can disguise an existing creature. Now someone created a small freestanding illusion in the vents, so a disguised creature must have been inside these vents at some point. These vents are tiny, no one would be able to fit inside them. But a rat would be able to fit in these vents. Well, yeah, I guess that'd be true. That would mean the rat had an illusion spell active on it at the time. Not only that, the queen finally answered him, and this happened after he picked up a stick. That shouldn't have been possible because of the anti-magic field. Tracker saw this rat during the lockdown. They would have been inside the anti-magic field created by the lockdown. And only one way that rat could have an illusion spell active on it, it had the... Can't mean... Rat was holding the sword of spell eating. How did it fit? Okay, well, he did say rat is the word that Tracker's using just to refer to small animals that run and hide. So it couldn't necessarily be a rat, it could be something else. How is that possible? The rat wouldn't have the strength or hands to carry the sword, yeah. Tracker's vocabulary is primitive and limited. He uses the word rat to describe small creatures that hide and act suspiciously. I'm loving the fact that I make an observation and the game's immediately like, bro, we made it too. Don't worry. But even if it wasn't an actual rat, it still couldn't have been human, right? Right. It would have been a small animal. Small animal with the strength and dexterity to traverse a small air vent while holding a sword. Sorry, but I really have to ask, is that monkey riding on your back? Yes, this is my familiar, Gene. Oh, serious? Well, that Harold had a motive to kill William Frege. He was planning to defund the Haraldson Hall of History. They had an argument that night, and that's when William Frege decided that he was going to defund Harold's museums. Must have struck a deal with Beatrice. With Beatrice's portion of House Frege, she could have easily kept his museums funded. He could have faked the robbery and sent his familiar to murder William. I can't believe this. Something that Tracker said. Tracker must have scared Rat because he fell on the floor and dropped a stick. The smell to see where the rat was. Where he dropped a stick, you were able to finally see him. Does it mean you couldn't visually see him before you fell down? Yeah, Tracker couldn't see the rat with his eyes, so Tracker used his nose to see it. He was invisible. No one would have noticed a small invisible animal. In addition to that, he moved through the air vents. Eugene would have been nearly undetectable that night. Just as a master of illusion magic. It's possible that she cast invisibility on Eugene. Yeah. Well, I don't know how we got this, but I'm glad that we finally got it. Illusion. Occultare. Clap both hands together, you say. Interesting. Highest forms of illusion magic. The spell makes the target creature or object completely invisible. While invisible, the target will be completely transparent and undetectable visually. Targeting a creature, the spell will also affect anything that the creature is wearing or holding. Possibility this air vent. Only a hallway just north of Beatrice's room. Like here. Air vent connects to the ground floor. That must lead into the storage room, yeah. Right there, curved upwards. Does. See where it leads. According to Jan, that air vent led directly to William's study. It would have been the perfect route to enter William's study and leave undetected. But he wouldn't have needed to nullify the lock to enter that room. Why would he need to use the sword of spell reading at all? Yeah, if he goes to the vent. It's a familiar bond, they can telepathically communicate with each other. Harold probably needed Eugene to hold the sword so he could tell him exactly where to go. The sword's magical effects anyone magically connected to the wielder. Wait, what? The sword's magic affects anyone magically connected to the wielder, and familiar bond connects them magically. That's... Huh. My brain is immediately turned to like, I could do some very incredible, powerful things with this. In the context of this universe and lore. Or world. Since now, Harold could have easily faked the robbery to take suspicion off of him. It's even possible that he was lying about how the display glass was shattered. I've known Lord Harold said for many years. I just can't believe that he'd be involved in this. Harold for a long time, but she's never read his thoughts. Thoughts were very hostile and rude, despite his kind expression. Very good at hiding what he's truly feeling. Just there's no way she's participating in a plan like this. Look, Leif, I know you don't want to suspect your sister, but not that. You just would never trust anyone to work together like this. She's completely blind. She wouldn't have much of a choice. Even so, she's not the type of person to trust a accomplice to stay quiet. Find a way to carry out a plan herself, and she'd only employ someone else's help if she had full control of them. Probably knows her better than you do, but you doubt that working alone would be possible with her condition. Can't think of any other way she'd be involved in this. Anyways, we're finished here, aren't we? Yes, thank you for lending Tracker to us, Leif. I want to help you find out what really happened. It's very convenient. Yeah, the familiar bond is... More and more, I'm like, huh. Maybe we regret trusting you, Mr. Cuthbert. Truly on the side of justice, then you won't. Good. Now, if you'll excuse me... That's it, right? Finally know who really committed the murder, then. Get Harold to confess on the stand. He might reveal Beatrice's involvement as well. As that, you might be able to convince her and Miss Timor to take a plea deal. Although, knowing Miss Timor, easier said than done. Anyways, this is definitely the lead that we've been looking for. Is it really enough? I don't have any physical evidence. I'll have to do for now. We're running out of time. We'll just have to call Harold to the stand and testify about what he did that night. If I can push him far enough, I might be able to catch him lying. That will be that easy. He has a good poker face. Just how much will he be able to hide his true thoughts? I already gave my statement to the Inquisition. My testimony really necessary? Yeah, we didn't get his age. Sorry, old timer. Orders are coming straight from the prosecutor. I need you on the stand today. I understand. I'll do what I can to help. He might not actually be involved. Although he is suspicious for not giving me his age. Court is now resumed for the trial of Beatrice Frege. Let's review yesterday's proceedings. There was much debate over William Frege's inheritance. More specifically, it was unknown whether the defendant had any claim to her father's inheritance. This detail was crucial in determining whether the defendant even had a motive to commit the murder. Luckily, the victim's will was supposedly read earlier today, and is now part of the public record. What were the results of the will reading, Mr. Cuthbert? William Frege was planning to leave all of his assets to Jaden von Sanctus, his hopeful son-in-law. However, this was predicated on the condition that Jaden married the victim's daughter, Leif, and it's clear that Miss Leif will never follow through on this engagement. If the engagement is not made in 6 months, William Frege's assets would be divided among his 3 daughters. See, so there's no mention of the defendant's disinheritance. Correct, Your Honor. This means that the defendant did have something to gain from the victim's death. Oh, I'm getting a call. Okay. This means that the defendant did have something to gain from the victim's death. Your Honor, despite the confusion around the victim's inheritance, there's still very little physical evidence that implicates my client. May I remind you that Miriam Frege was not telling the truth in yesterday's proceedings. That itself is extremely suspect. And William Frege was clearly not above manipulation and lying. You can't prove that she knowingly gave false testimony. I'll admit that I can't prove that. I'll also admit there's a lack of apparent physical evidence to substantiate our case. Which is why the prosecution would like to call Harold Haraldson to the stand. What Haraldson? Sword of Spell Eating clearly plays a large role in the murder, and its theft is one of the few pieces of physical evidence in this case. As the gallery curator, I believe he can further elaborate on how the sword was stolen that night. Specifically, he can find out what he did on the night of the murder. See, the court would definitely benefit from his insight. Bailiff, please escort Lord Haraldson to the stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. Of course, my name is Harold Haraldson, the owner and curator of the Haraldson Hall of History, located in Omhereth. Quite the alliterative occupation. Harold, could you please testify to the court about how you discovered that the Sword of Spell Eating was stolen? Well, just keeping an eye on my gallery's exhibits when I realized that my familiar hadn't returned. I called him telepathically, but he didn't respond. I'm worried, so I went around the manor to search for him. About an hour later, I returned to the gallery and discovered that the exhibit that held the Sword of Spell Eating was completely destroyed. The artifact was missing, so I reported the crimes of the knights at the ball, and they activated a discreet lockdown. Luckily, we found the sword and my familiar later that night. That's why you didn't witness the theft. Yes, the thief was probably waiting for me to leave. He wanted to commit the crime without anyone seeing them. Or his testimony is completely full of it. The search for Eugene must have been a cover that he's using to hide his actions that night. How do you prove that? Yeah, I don't know how I... Okay. Let me read this. How do I prove? Search to cover. I don't know what evidence I have to do that, so we'll just press. You're referring to Eugene? Eugene Harrison, Your Honor. It's the name of the witness is familiar. Eugene is a spry orangutan monkey. He helps me with my day-to-day. I see. Anyways, he said he hadn't returned. Does it mean he left you earlier than the night? Yes, he always likes to explore large buildings, like Frega Manor. But he usually doesn't leave for that long. Typically ignore you like that. Sometimes. He's a young boy, so he likes to have his privacy. I try not to pry, but I was worried what would happen if a noble or knight came across him. He usually knows not to bother people, but you never know what might happen. For him. You have the gallery room? Yes. As I said, I was worried that something had happened to Eugene. Where'd you go during your search? Eugene usually knows to stay out of people's bedrooms, so I went downstairs and searched for him there. I checked the bathroom, sitting room, and coat room. Finally, I checked the kitchen and pantry. He might have gone there to steal some snacks. You didn't find him in any of those places. No, I didn't. If I recall correctly, the glass was completely shattered, despite the presence of several objuration spells that protected it. Yes, it would have taken an extremely powerful spell to break it like that. I saw the glass display was shattered into shards. Missing lockdown. Sort of spelling makes its wielder immune to magical effects. What use would the lockdown have been? Honestly, not much. Wielder would have been immune to the anti-magic field and the spells that prevented him from leaving. But at that point, the Kingsguard just wanted to activate it for good measure. We found the sword and my familiar later that night. His statement just now is missing some details, yeah. Details you asked him to elaborate on. How did you find Eugene? How did you eventually find Eugene that night? After an hour of silence, he finally responded to my telepathic messages. Hour of silence. Met up with me in the gallery before he went to search for the sword. This would have been after the theft was reported. Yes. Pick up Eugene after he murdered Lord Frega. The alibi they're using to account for the time that no one could see Eugene. Anyways, these details can be extremely important. Please add it to your testimony, witness. Harold. Yes, of course. Harold. This lady went around the manor to look for Eugene. He's telling the truth. Maybe. A so-called search for Eugene gave him a good excuse to not be seen by anyone. Decent alibi. Not without its flaws. He'll just need to poke some holes in that alibi. Wait, wouldn't it still be in lockdown? How would he have responded to your telepathic messages if the house was still in the lockdown? Objection! Let's go! Harold, you found Eugene before you went to search for the Sword of Spell Eating. This would mean that it happened while the lockdown was still active. Am I correct? Yes, as much as I was worried about the artifact, Eugene's safety was far more important. That's the thing, Harold. You said that after an hour of silence, you finally received a telepathic message back from Eugene. What? So that leaves one question. How did you communicate with Eugene telepathically? You were both within an anti-magic field. What? Harold, in response to the theft, the Kingsguard activated the lockdown system to prevent anyone from leaving. That same lockdown system would have placed an anti-magic field over every inch of that manor. That field should have suppressed the telepathic abilities given to you by familial bond. You wouldn't have been able to speak with Eugene at all. Cuthbert, are you accusing the witness of lying in his testimony? Please, Cuthbert is blowing this entire thing out of proportion. Anti-magic field is a resource-intensive spell. You can't assume that they managed to cover every inch of the manor. Especially the areas that would only be accessible to a small animal. Samara, let's assume that Eugene managed to reach some sort of blind spot in the lockdown system. The magical telepathy granted by familial bond connects two people. Even if Eugene wasn't affected by their anti-magic field, Harold would be. Very true. How did I hear him that night? In one answer that makes sense, Harold. I did hear Eugene telepathically, because Eugene was wielding the sword of spell eating. What? Sorry, Mr. Cuthbert. Are you saying that the sword of spell eating was stolen by the witness's pet monkey? I am, Your Honor. It's the only way the witness's testimony makes sense. For rebuttal, push this while you still have a chance. Harold Harrelson, you were the one who... Oh boy, here we go. You were the one who stole the sword of spell eating, weren't you? What reason would I have to steal something that already belongs to me? It was take suspicion off of you, because you were the one who had William Frege killed. You staged the robbery and used the spell of sorting to make Eugene invisible. Then you sent him through the manor's ventilation system. Also, you could have him murder William Frege in his study. Son, Cuthbert, I suppose you just can't stop yourself from pursuing a lying witness. What did you do next, Mr. Timora? Of course. Witness, do you have anything to say in your defense? Quite obvious, but I completely refute the prosecution's allegations. He's misguided, but he's just doing his job. And do you also refute your statement about Eugene telepathic speaking with you? I'm better than to lie on the stand to try to save myself. I don't know how it happened, but I stand by my testimony. Eugene did telepathically contact me during the lockdown. Did he do it? Wait, so he doesn't know how the telepathic communication happened? He overlooked it when he was planning the murder with Beatrice. I don't... He's sus, but like, he's not... That's your position, Cuthbert? That the witness sent a monkey to murder William Frege? It may sound ridiculous, but it's the only thing that makes sense. Then what the fuck is the point of Beatrice being here? We have to tie Beatrice to this. Otherwise, she's gonna be like, well, why the fuck are we doing this? Why am I here? Do you have any evidence to refute that, Mr. Timora? No? I fully and wholeheartedly agree with you, Mr. Cuthbert. Wait. Tyrion? Mr. Cuthbert, did you forget that you were prosecuting Beatrice Vega? Your Honor, even as a prosecutor, it's clear that Cuthbert just can't stop himself from finding the true culprit. Wait, I also meant to say the defendant conspired with a witness to commit the crime. Oh, really? Do you have any proof that the conspiracy... Do you have any proof of this conspiracy to commit... Oh, Of course you don't. But even so... But let's assume that you did have evidence to prove your statement. This was really a plot formed by my client and the witness. What would my client even contribute to this plan? What you said, this plot was completely carried out by Lord Harrelson and his familiar. But, well, the glass. He would have needed a powerful mage like the defendant to break the sword's display case and stage the robbery. So her contribution to the murder was breaking some glass. Can you prove that my client shattered the display case? And can you prove that she's so knowing that it would somehow lead to her father's death? You watched so far into this. Also, sorry, models glitched. You might have gotten a little eager to prove Harold's guilt. Physical evidence against my client was almost non-existent in the first place. Meanwhile, it seems the prosecution has just brought forward physical evidence that implicates Lord Harrelson. Physical evidence that is supported by his own testimony. There has to be some explanation for this. Cuthbert, didn't you ask me something yesterday? If my client didn't kill the victim, then who did? I suppose I should thank you for finding the answer. Damn it, all you did was make it more difficult to prove your case. Harold has to be involved in this. You weren't wrong about that. Only Eugene would be small enough to traverse the air vents. Anything else you can use? Every time, Harold must be stressed. He's gotten you out of tight spots before. Maybe you can find the evidence in his mind. Use every trick you have, Cuthbert. It won't help you. Or calm your mind and focus the Eye of Horus on it. It's not gonna work. Find something, anything that might be the murder of Beatrice. Never mind. Naught can remain concealed. Okay. So let's think this through. Familial bond. Just what were you doing that night? You really wield the sword, if only for a brief moment. You should have known exactly where Eugene was that night. Why would his thoughts say that? Can't believe that one of my artifacts was used to commit a murder. Completely disrespectful to the culture and history behind it. But these pieces of beach really had no hand in this. That can't be true, can it? Oh no. It's that whole memory, like, Eris is involved in the illusion shit. What do I think about this? That's what's happened. Oh, there's also the armbands of intellect. Still missing. I inspected it closely before the Lord's ball. They were still there when I moved them to Frigga Manor. Someone must have stolen it during the ball. Right, never did find out what happened to the armbands. And a second thief there. Lockdown system. Young Tyrion's argument makes sense. Couldn't have heard Eugene when the lockdown was active. What's going on here? The earrings of vitality. Oh. The earrings of vitality were left untouched. It's one of the few artifacts left that's imbued with the Scaled Lord's powers. It's really a shame that Beatrice was driven to flee from her own family. If only I'd introduced myself to her. Perhaps we could have found a solution together. No Beatrice? But how? She planned the murder with him. Unless... What's going on? Speaking if you really had no hand in this. You hide yourself in the Eye of Horus, but you can't lie to it. That's true. Wrong about Harold's involvement? Is he really innocent? See anything, Cuthbert? Kid called out. Your Honor, it's clear that the prosecution has nothing left to argue. There's very little evidence implicating my client, and there's far more likely suspect in front of us right now. Yes, I must agree, Miss Tamora. At the very least, I see no reason to prolong this trial any longer. But wait, just couldn't have personally have done this. Counting the fact that she's completely blind, she was with two princes for most of the night. So who actually killed William Frege in his study? Think about this. The reason why you suspected Harold in the first place was because of what Tracker said. Describe. Could have been a human. Definitely saw some kind of animal. Someone else's familiar? There's another familiar. Like, it's obviously not Eugene. Could have communicated. Wait, what? Why? How did Eugene just happen to be in that hallway? This explains why the spell spinning was even there. Oh, Tracker said that Eugene came out of the air vent on the other. Came out of the air vent on one side of the hallway. Then he fled into the air vent on the other side. For a small monkey, those vents would be extremely cramped. Wouldn't have entered those vents out of mere curiosity. Where was Eugene in the air vents? Harold didn't participate in the murder. You know about what Eugene was doing that night. Eugene not acting their own free will? I'm not sure why Eugene was there, but unlucky Harold knew about it. How was Eugene? Servants. Eugene was acting their own free will. That's the explanation that makes the most sense. How and why? Harold's the only person that is magically connected to Eugene. Even if Beatrice somehow got Eugene to follow her orders, she wouldn't have been able to direct his actions telepathically. Beatrice couldn't have used any other conjuration spell to contact him either. She was also in the anti-magic field when she was with Aster. So if Eugene was the one who murdered William Frege, acting independently? No, that can't be possible. How could Eugene have carried out this plan independently? Unrequired knowledge of Frege Manor's ventilation system. It also involved murdering William during the lockdown and destroying his will. Eugene might be smart for a monkey, but a normal monkey wouldn't have known how to identify and destroy William's will. Even if Beatrice had somehow trained him to do all this beforehand. Eugene wore the armbands of intellect. What the fuck? No. Couldn't be. And shattered the glass. Exactly. Moreover, the armbands were actually replaced with a very well-made replica. Patching locks in the case can be disabled. Know the password. Only myself. Personally, oversee the transport when and Eugene would be with you. You've made some ridiculous statements in the past, but there's no way the judge will even entertain this theory. You'll have to be smart about this. Your Honor, I think there's one more this I can clear up this discrepancy once and for all. I believe he can prove the prosecution's case to the court. We're gonna call the monkey onto the stand. Really? I frankly find that hard to believe. Please, trust me, Your Honor. The element to this that we all are seeing. It's one that no one will believe. You have planned now. Okay, well, I'll give you one last chance, Mr. Cuthbert. So if your next witness fails to unveil any new information, I won't hesitate to end this trial. I understand, Your Honor. I'm going to need you to bear with me for a moment. Why? Your Honor, the prosecution calls Eugene Haroldson to the stand. The music picked up and immediately died. Oh, man. Never mind, I retract my earlier statement. I'll be passing my verdict. Wait, just bear with me for a moment. I should find you in contempt of court for even suggesting this. You honestly think I'll allow a monkey to give testimony in my courtroom? Yeah, sounds pretty out there, even for us. I have to remind the court of the nature of Harold's bond with Eugene. Eugene is a familiar. This means that Harold Haroldson can speak with him telepathically. But this is absolutely... Show me the law that says an animal can't give testimony, Your Honor. It may be unprecedented, but it's not against the law. Very well. Your Honor, you can't be serious right now. You actually going along with this? Oh, Miss Tamara, I'm looking for any possible reason not to entertain this. Mr. Cuthbert has a point. There are no laws against this proposal. So I have no choice but to oblige his frankly insane actions for now. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. Not as if this will reveal anything. I can't believe I'm saying this, but... Bailiff, please escort Lord Haroldsson's monkey to the stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation to the court. I can do without the sarcasm, Miss Timora. Eugene is Eugene. Eugene Monkey. Bailiff, please make sure the stenographer gets Haroldsson's translations. Can't see the armbands on him right now. He had his normal intelligence now. Although how would he even wear them? Perhaps he held them in his hands. They only require physical contact after all. Eugene, did you steal from the gallery the night of the murder? Eugene never steal from Harold. Eugene respect Harold. And you'll have no problem testifying about where you went during the Lord's Ball. Can't believe I let you convince me to permit this. Eugene explore house. Eugene look for a place to play. Eugene also look for spiders. Spiders yum yum. Eugene think Eugene steal armbands of intellect. Eugene never steal from Harold. Harold friend. Eugene owns Harold's friend. The apes strong together. Planet of the Apes. Wow, you did it, Cuthbert. Move this case wide open. This is really going to help us? Look, you'll just have to trust me on this. I trust you? It sounds like it turned into a question at the end. Okay. You know what? We'll press all of it. I was associate of House Frego. Surely you visited Frego Manor before that night. Manor constantly changes. William always doing renovations. Always new discovery to be made. Okay. What did you do that night? Do you really enjoy eating spiders? Spiders good. Rich in nutrients. Anger. Wait, really? Some cultures in Eastern Kingdoms eat roasted crickets. Try them. They're actually not that bad if prepared correctly. I don't think I could ever be that adventurous. Please stay on topic. Think Eugene steal armbands of intellect. I wasn't accusing you of anything, Eugene. Perhaps you accidentally unlocked the case and took them, thinking there was some sort of toy. It'll all be an honest mistake. Eugene not dumb. Eugene know how important artifacts are to Harold. Eugene never take from him. Never steal from Harold friend. Might not have knowingly done it. Perhaps he took one of the artifacts by accident. Eugene never do that. Ooh. And how do you explain your brief contact with the Sword of Spell Eating? Harold couldn't have telepathically contacted you unless one of you was wielding it. You don't understand question. Right, you won't understand how the sword works without this heightened intelligence. Unless... What's keeps together strong. It's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, shoutouts to the first Ace Attorney game, cross-examining a parrot, although this is far more entertaining than the parrot, admittedly. You consider yourself close to Harold. I would guess so. They literally have a magical connection with each other. Alright, I suppose the bond between a mage and a familiar would require a lot of trust. Harold saved Eugene from bad men years ago. Eugene would never betray. You're a rescue. Bad man lock Eugene in cave. You tell people to throw peanuts at Eugene. Uh-oh. Harold take Eugene away from that prison and lock up bad man. Can't be why he did this. He clearly feels indebted to him. That might have been his motive. Tyrion? I know it looks bad, but I swear there's more to this than meets the eye. You say so. Must be something in his statements. He had to have been wearing the armband of the night. Just thought reveals that. Think about Tracker spoke. Is there anything different in the way Eugene is speaking right now? I think it was this one? No, this one. Yeah, this one.
Objection!
Your Honor, the prince's thoughts contradict. It was a statement, it was many things, but it was not contradictory. Right, I see what you mean.
Objection!
This? Huh. Oh, wait, what? Hold on. Did he never do that? How do you explain your brief contact with the Sword of Spell Eating? Harold couldn't have telepathic contact with us building it. I understand the question, right? He won't understand how the sword works without his heightened intelligence, unless... Hold on.
Objection!
So what I think it is. Wait a minute. I asked you before if you stole anything from Harold's gallery. You know Eugene would never steal from Harold. Just about having to repeat that statement. That's not the same. It's not the same statement he made in his testimony. I asked the witness if he stole an artifact from the gallery. I never mentioned the armbands of intellect. Okay, that's not what I thought it was. It was like the way that he was referring to his stuff, the artifacts. It's like he didn't understand the question with... Okay, we'll see. Hold on. What are you talking about now? Witness lacks the understanding to differentiate between the artifacts. It's clearly just a simple mistake. It's not just the fact that he named the wrong artifact, Miss Daimora. It's the fact that he used its actual name. Yeah, that's what it is. He used the name. But, like, Tracker used very primitive words And even when we brought up the sword of spell eating, he was like, I don't understand. He tried to like play it off and be like, I don't know what that is. What do you mean? I don't understand what you mean, Mr. Cuthbert. Your Honor, animals can't speak the same way humans do. When telepathy is established, the vocabulary is extremely limited. Right, Tracker called the sword of spell eating a stick before. Hard to understand what he really meant. Exactly, so that raises the question, how did Eugene know they were called the armbands of intellect? Wait, how did he know? Just stolen the Lord's ball and replaced with a well-made replica. He had worn the armbands when he was sneaking through the vents. He would have never had the opportunity to put them back. The armbands are still missing. They're still on him. Eugene is wearing the armbands at this moment. It can't be. Is he really... Armbands were designed to be worn by humans, so Eugene couldn't wear them on his arms. So where would he wear them? He carried them in his hands, but there's a simpler explanation. Eugene, do you still maintain that you didn't steal the armbands of intellect? Eugene told you already. Eugene never steals from Harold. I suppose you wouldn't mind taking off your hat. Oh shit! What the fuck is this game? Yo! The monkey is actually locked in. Serious right now? I don't think he's wearing them right now, do you? It's the only thing that makes sense. The armbands were taken on the night of the murder, and they are still missing. Eugene did indeed steal the armbands that night. He would have never had the opportunity to return them. He had no choice but to continue wearing them until the investigation was over. It's absolutely ridiculous. You're spinning a fairy tale. You honestly expect us to believe that a monkey increased its intellect beyond human limits? If I'm wrong, the witness can easily refute my theory by removing his hat. Well, what's it gonna be, Eugene? See him fully break character, and he slowly but silently lifts his hat. No, you can't be serious. Everyone can see it plainly. He's wearing the armbands like a crown around his tiny head. From out of his hat, you see him pull out something else. Oh shit! What the fuck? What is this game? Well done, Mr. Cuthbert. I shouldn't have underestimated you. Are you serious? Probably a blessing in disguise. I don't think I can bear debasing myself any longer.
Objection!
Objection, Your Honor. On what grounds, Miss Timora? On what grounds? Everything about this situation is objectionable. It's downright absurd. Is he seriously Beatrice's accomplice? But Miss Timora, can't deny what's clearly right in front of us. I was not ready for today. How is he even talking right now? I always believe that humans and apes evolved from a common ancestor. Perhaps all apes can speak the common language under the right circumstances. Evolved? Please, I've observed your society. Yo! Something out of a cartoon. Yeah, it is, but I'm fucking loving it. Hat. No one was ready for it. I think calling humanity evolved is being quite generous. This can't be happening. Well, are you all done gawking at me like a bunch of simpletons? Simpletons? Wait a minute. Right. I remember encountering a similar problem at the Imperial Academy. Quite dedicated to your studies. Oh, that's very clever. So Harold really is just a good dude. And the thoughts that we were picking up were fucking Eugene wearing the... Oh, God. Those that can't be helped. Every insulting thought you've seen from Harold, they weren't Harold's thoughts at all. They were Eugene's thoughts. He's been wearing the armband since you first met. So I don't understand. Why would you even take the armbands in the first place? I'll admit that the Lord's Ball was one of many occasions. First time I touched them was due to sheer chance. The one by accident? My unawakened self was enamored by its glittering sheen. I merely wanted to touch them, but when I first held them in my hands, I experienced a sense of clarity that I'd never felt before. I was afraid of what I experienced, so I left them alone. But as I returned to my primitive lifestyle, I couldn't stop thinking about what I felt that day. You were hooked. I wouldn't quite phrase it like that, but I suppose you're not wrong. I already knew the password to Harold's vault, so I'd come in from time to time and indulge in the armband's powers. The more time I spent with my awakened intellect, the more I craved its power when I had to put them away. That's when you made the replica. While no one was watching, I devised a plan to discreetly take the armbands. Harold would have eventually discovered they were stolen, but he would have concluded that a noble from the Lord's Ball took them. Pressure that he was receiving from the crown. I'm not proud of what I've done. Never expected things to reach this point. I didn't expect someone to steal the sword of spell eating as well. I certainly didn't expect a murder to happen that night. You still maintain that you're innocent. Of course I do. I stole the armbands, but I did not murder William Frege, nor did I take the sword of spell eating. Allow me to elaborate. He's fucking posted up. I can't. Eugene is a genius. He is. It's funny, in Baldur's Gate 3, there is a ogre that has like a circuit of intelligence, and that makes him like speak and have like actual intelligence rather than kind of be a mound of flesh. So this is on brand. I admit that I took the armbands and replaced them with a replica, but I was not the crook who stole the sword of spell eating. The thefts were completely different from one another. The play case of the sword was completely shattered. I spotted the sword while I was exploring the manor, lying in the middle of a hallway. I wondered why such an important artifact would be lying there, so I took a closer look to inspect it. That's when I heard Harold call out to me telepathically. The sword must have protected me and Harold from the anti-magic field. I wanted to take the sword and return it, but a wild dog chased me away from the scene. This is what Tracker saw. I already knew the passwords. Tracker said that Eugene was the one who dropped the sword. Furthermore, he escaped into the air vent that led into the Williams study. Dash and Knight were definitely not as innocent as his testimony implies. Have lied somewhere. We are pressing the monkey. Okay. So, Tracker's testimony is obviously, like, the thing. Objection! Oh boy. I was wrong. Okay. But that location was near the Frege's bedrooms. Don't tell me what do you take me for? I know what a bedroom looks like, and I never enter one uninvited. Why were you there in the first place? I was coming back from the rooftop garden, but I suddenly found something interfering with the armband's magic. Anti-magic fields. Yes, I was worried that something had happened, so I made my way back to the gallery to meet up with Harold. Could you add this to your testimony? Very well. This, because...
Objection!
Yeah. Eugene, I'm sure you're well aware of this, but the best way to lie is to hide a false detail within many truths. What are you trying to insinuate, Mr. Cuthbert? You said that you were heading from the terrace to the gallery. Did you take any detours? Of course not. The armband's nullified, my intelligence was slowly fading. I wanted to return to Harold as soon as possible. Witness, I'd like for you to take a look at this floor map of Frege Manor. This is the location where that wild dog found the sword of spell eating. tell me, Eugene, how did you spot the sword of spell eating when it was hidden in the hallway north of Beatrice's bedroom? That's... Why are you nitpicking such an insignificant statement? Probably just got distracted and went down the wrong hallway. This time, Aura, Eugene came from the rooftop garden, and he was adamant that he went directly to the gallery to reunite with Harold. Even if his intellect was muddled, he was intent on reuniting with his worried companion. He definitely took the direct route, but if he did, he would never have been able to see into that hallway. To your point, Mr. Cuthbert, what does this mean? It means that the witness lied about where he was before he discovered the sword of spell eating. He wasn't coming from the rooftop garden. He came from the air vents in that specific hallway. Got him. So why were you in that hallway, Eugene? You lied in your testimony. Was it because you wanted to hide what you were really doing that night? I admit it, Eugene. Snuck through the air vents to avoid detection. Then you used the air vents in the hallway to break into William's study. After that, murdered him using a letter opener, didn't you? That's not what I went there to do. No, I didn't mean... Order in the court. Witness, is this true? Did you break into William Frigga's study during the lockdown? Yes, I did enter his study, but not for the reason you think. William Frigga was already dead when I got there. What? What did you just say? It's true. You honestly expect us to believe a story like that? How could someone else have killed the victim before you got there? Cracker took the sword of spell eating, and you were the only intelligent creature that could walk through the air vents. I understand how unbelievable and suspicious it sounds. Why do you think I lied in the first place? It's the truth, Mr. Cuthbert. You have to believe me. That hardly absolved him of guilt. Telling the truth. That's true. That only brings you back to one question you've been acting. I was thinking it was like we're back to square one. Who really did this? Okay, Eugene, let's assume you're telling the truth. You actually believe me? Not gonna have ourselves. You're still my only suspect for this. I know better than anyone about jumping to conclusions. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt for now. I see. However, if you want to absolve yourself, I need you to tell me about what you really saw that night. Might be something, anything that might point to who really did this. Very well. I'll tell you what I saw. Although I doubt you'll believe me. This is testimony. Quickly made my way to the hallway event. As I entered in the hallway and tried to leap to the other side, it was my waning intelligence or my desperation, but I collided with something that I didn't see. I fell to the ground and found the sword of spell eating laying next to me. I wanted to retrieve the sword, but that wild dog forced me to retreat. After that, I continued to make my way to the study. And that's when I found William Frigga, dead on the floor and lying in a pool of blood. As if I was blessed by the Scale Lord himself, I found the will that he was drafting, so I destroyed it? Frankly, Mr. Housen, I find that story very difficult to believe. I assumed as much, but you know what they say. Truth is stranger than fiction. Yes, it is, Mark Twain. It's more likely that you murdered the victim. Clearly trying to cover up what you did by saying that he was already dead. Honestly, I really don't know what to think. Telling the truth. That last statement was weird. Why did you destroy it? I'm trying to find it. What did it say? I was pressed for time, so I didn't read the entire document. I found an order to executor to defund the Haraldson Hall of History. Found the new will, but why would we destroy it? Yeah, and I'm glad that he immediately answered it. That's what it was. In the will, it would defund Haraldson's exhibits. Yeah, since he went out of his way to specify that on the current copy, I concluded that his former will didn't have this addendum. So you could save Harold's museum by making sure it never got submitted for probate. Anyways, do you have the will with you? My apologies. I crumpled up the will into a ball and ate it, then left the room before my intelligence was completely gone. Really hoping to see if William followed through on his threat to disinherit Beatrice. Yeah, he's telling the truth this time, but we need to make sure. Carefully inspect and press each of his statements. I mean, the one that immediately jumps out to me is this. Hot monkeys were extremely dexterous. You just clumsy? I have impeccable dexterity. Sounds like he struck a nerve there. I must have been muddled from losing the armband's magic. Or not. Why are you there in the first place? Me and William Frege got into an argument with Harold. That cur wanted to fund the prestigious Heraldton Hall of History. I knew a man like William probably had many secrets, so I devised a plan to break into his study and find something that I could use to blackmail him. As you know, there's a small air vent in the hallway. It connected to William's study on the ground floor. I was unaware that William was planning to stay in his study all night, so I thought I could look through his documents without anyone seeing me. I suppose that does make sense. Did you really tell him the truth? What happened when you tried to leap into the other air vent? How did you know it was the sword of spell eating? When I held it in my hands, I felt my intelligence return. But I had also heard Harold calling out to me telepathically. Clearly going worried. So I knew I needed to move quickly. Did this wild dog have a white coat of fur? Did. Are you acquainted with him? Something like that. Well, next time you meet him, tell him that I don't appreciate being called a rat. I'm a proud orangutan. You can understand him. I picked up a little bit of the canine language throughout my life. I'm also fluent in squirrel and pigeon. I can also speak owl, but I admit it's barely conversational. As much as you want to test the validity of those claims, they're not relevant to the case. What happened when you entered the study? I found William Frege. He was dead on the floor, lying in a pool of blood. It's awfully convenient he was murdered before you arrived. I know how it may seem, but I'm telling you the truth. Do you have any explanation for how the assailant broke into the study without the sword? I, unfortunately, do not. Please, it's obvious your testimony doesn't match up with the evidence. Whoever did this either entered through the vents or they used the sword to nullify the lock. And your own testimony says the sword was abandoned in that hallway. It doesn't match up with what you thought happened, but does it really contradict the evidence you have? Anyways, what did you do when you discovered the body? It was only a matter of time for someone to discover the body, so I quickly searched the room for something I could use.